Neal, welcome.
Oh, God, thank you.
Thank God you're here.
Thank fucking God.
Guess
Did
Neal's...
it start?
Oh, yeah.
It started. We have a pre-recorded, but I like leaving it in.
Yes.
We have a pre-recorded. Welcome to the Good Guys. I'm Josh. I'm Ben. We just jump in.
Yeah.
But we kind of defeated the purpose of that by saying to our listeners that we have a pre-recorded.
Guess Neal's first job.
What was your first job?
In show business?
We're two Nickelodeon boys.
Yeah.
Come on.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
You want to guess?
The show?
Yeah.
Drake and Neal.
Drake and
Neal and Kel.
Drake and Neal. All that?
That's right.
Wow, what a guess.
Season 2.
Wow, that's awesome.
Season 2, they'd stolen Pierre Escargot from me, and then I didn't get credit for it, and then they hired me for the second season.
Wow. Were you and Amanda Bynes close?
I was there before Amanda. And I was there before Nick. I was there before anybody.
You were there.
I was the first one.
You're original.
First one and last one. Yeah, I was in and out quickly.
You were let go?
Look, Josh. Josh, when you say it like that. Brian Robbins, the exec producer, said something really funny to me one time. He goes, I should have fired you when I had the chance. Which is really funny.
Great.
It was like openly, not like I wasn't qualified. I was just very young. I was like 20 or 21. And they said that my writing was experimental, which always made me laugh. Like, it was a nice way of going, like, you don't get this show. But I recovered. I made a full recovery.
But you created characters that they stole from you, and you also had a bit that I thought was maybe the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Go ahead.
Which was the
Hair Club for
Hair
Boys?
Club for Boys.
Yeah. It was a way for young 10, 11-year-old boys to have chest hair. Again, not for that show. A good idea, just don't do it on an actual kid's sketch show.
I would have loved it.
Of course you would have loved it. At that age, look at you now.
Yeah.
Three
You have a
swarthy
fucking...
men.
Yeah, you have a... I've got nothing. In fact, I had so little, I just shave it off.
Really?
My chest hair is garbage.
You're a special version of Irish.
Go
right?
on.
Well, because they come. You're not. You're
Ready
not,
to fight. Maybe fighting you. Yep. Go
Please.
ahead.
Well, because we're different flavors of Jew, me and Ben, right? Like you wouldn't.
You look. Here's the small world. You look Irish. I look Jewish. To people.
I was going to say, you definitely look Jewish.
Yep.
and Brennan, which it's Irish.
Yeah,
but,
it's very Irish. Yeah.
But if you say it like this,
People say Brenner all the time.
Brennan,
There you go.
feels
Yeah.
Jewish.
If you say anything like that, it feels Jewish.
Yeah, exactly. Jesus.
Exactly. Yes.
Was it you?
But yeah, I mean, because we think
A lot of people don't know.
Fun
A lot
fact.
of people are saying Jesus was a Jew. Go ahead.
you think Jesus kvetched. Do you know that word?
Yeah, of course.
You
Come
think-
on, I know all the fucking Jewish words. I
mean-
know all the Yiddish. I know all the hit Yiddish words.
Did he have? You think Jesus had Jewish isms?
Sure he did. Sure he did.
For sure, right?
Sure he
Definitely.
worried about, do I have too many apostles? What are they in it for the right reasons?
Honestly, he probably just fetched about Judaism in general, which is why he started Judaism Light.
You know what's funny is they say the Jews killed Jesus, but then also didn't Rome kill him? There's a lot of conflicting stories.
No, it's
And I don't wanna get
only the
hung up on it.
anti-Semites say that Jews killed Jesus. It was 100% Rome. It was Rome. They killed
You know,
Jesus.
he sounds like a lawyer right now.
And by the way,
I don't want to say.
It's what we
I don't
do
want to
well.
be Semitic, but anti-Semitic. But I had a question. So you're married to a comedian?
yes,
Was she a comedian when you met her?
no.
How did you feel about her becoming a comedian?
I think it was what she was born to do. She's really funny, great at what she does, great
Yep.
takes, can really work a crowd, room, sell tickets. It was
Great.
all sort of there, and I felt
But
great
has
about
it affected her nervous system at all? In a way that you're never going to tell me. But if you don't, I'm not sure. I don't think I would want to be married to a comedian, personally.
But may I say, she's not.
Aggravating? Go ahead.
She's not in the traditional. She's not doing. She didn't have to start doing open mics at the
Okay.
comedy store.
Got
you know
it.
what I'm
Correct.
saying?
Yeah.
Like she cultivated an audience. The audience told her, "We'd love to see a one-woman show."
Yep.
Basically, she curated one with the audience already built. They were coming there, so a lot of the trauma that is accrued from a stand-up
Yeah.
life, I feel like she doesn't have as much.
She has her own similar trauma, but not from the
Doing
doing
not from that
stand up and being
particular
booed
struggle.
No, but like
Yeah.
it's funny. Like we actually have spoken about this without doing the circuit. Like she has the, unfortunately, Dad passed at 14. Like the classic. Like there's an archetype of a comedian. 100%. You need to be like beat down to a point where you're just like you want to be funny and you want that level of validation. And so she didn't have to fight it in the streets. But
I like that you guys are talking like I'm not here.
yeah. By the way, that was the whole last episode.
Well, you said something brilliant when in your episode of Comedians in Cars, when Jerry Seinfeld validated him as one of the greats. You said
Don't know.
great boxers never come from Vail, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nobody great. It's like you don't do it if you don't have to do it.
But
Unless you have a huge following and they tell you to do it. Those are the two things that birth. That's how Pryor started. He had a huge following on Instagram. I'm kidding.
sure.
Pryor had a podcast, and I'm kidding.
But does Mulaney have trauma? Does Sudeikis? I mean, yeah.
Every great comedian is out of their minds, in some ways. Like I'm not saying I'm not disparaging anyone, but I'm saying that there's a core thing to all of them. So, including his wife. What's your wife all about?
Normie, perfect, great, not a drunk, good, secure family, likes herself,
Yeah.
cute.
Does she
nice.
like herself too much? I don't like
Just
when people.
enough.
You know what I'm saying?
Good question, of course.
No,
Does she like
she's
herself too much?
adorably insecure about silly things that she
Right.
shouldn't be.
Have you gotten her over any insecurities? Have you like healed any of them? Like where they're just not. She just doesn't have them anymore.
No, she comes from a athletic family. Her dad was a quarterback for the Jets.
Great. What's her
Her-
last name?
O'Brien,
I remember her.
Jewish.
Yeah.
one
I
of
remember.
yours.
Yeah.
And
Early '80s. O'Brien was the quarterback.
10 years for the Jets. Yeah.
Yep.
And brother QB1 at Fresno State. Like all the girls are 6 feet, and they're all like stunning and insecure, and worry about how they look in clothes and food stuff. So it's
Yeah.
nice. It's reassuring to know that like people insecure about their weight don't just look like me. But it's
Are
adorable.
you insecure about your weight?
Yeah, I mean, to a certain, of all my isms, I've weirdly been able. Like, I'm a drug addict, alcoholic, 15 years, thankfully recovered. But I can have a cigarette and not smoke a pack tomorrow. I can spend $200 in Vegas and not be at the tables all night, and I can eat a cupcake and not then follow it with a gigantic milkshake and 3 cakes and then black out. So I feel like I've somewhat. I wouldn't say mastered it, but I have the food thing under control to an extent. But yeah, I'm wildly insecure because I ruined my body. I ruined it, Neal.
I like how you're grinning ear to ear. I ruined my body.
I ruined. Well, the sitcom shit never leaves.
Yeah,
I
that's
ruined it. Yeah, dude, it hurts. It's a bummer.
What do you mean? All right, well, this is interesting because I think people are going to have eating disorders regardless of what happens. And I'm not saying that I don't know what your food thing was, but women's eating disorders fucks up their digestion forever.
Yeah, like gallbladders. And
Yeah,
shit.
like like celiac. They like they fucks up their teeth, their throat, like so many systems that you don't even think about. And not like it's like young ladies, just so you know. Obviously, I hope they don't have them anyway, but that's one of those things where I didn't know. I dated girls with eating disorders and afterward, and it's such a bummer. And when you say you ruined it, what do you mean?
That I ruined my body?
Yeah.
I stretch out my skin. I can't ever really take my shirt off at the pool. I mean, I can.
Can you do the removal thing?
I did that,
Great.
but it's never quite right.
Fuck.
But it's okay. But
Yeah, I'm
it's a
with you.
weird. Here's the wildest part, if I may. I was thin-ish till I was like 8 or 9. And then I got like chubby, but like within the normal realm of like, oh, he's a chubby kid.
Yeah.
Till I was like 12 or 13. Then I got wildly overweight at the exact time I was being introduced to the world.
Right.
From 13 to 17, I was like 100 pounds overweight. And then I lost 100 pounds. I've been mostly of a normal size
That's
my
funny.
entire life, and people only know
I know.
me.
That's what I was gonna say. Like,
Weird, right?
Well, it's just odd. Well, that's the odd thing about fame is that most people know you from that, and it doesn't matter how long ago it was.
We laugh because people still to this day, and now it annoys me, will go, "Hey man, you look great." Like it's 20 years ago,
Yeah.
Jack.
Yeah.
I'm like, can I
Well, that
please-
guy Adam Rich died from the sitcom Eight Is Enough yesterday, and that was Eight Is Enough was just leaving syndication when I was a kid, so I have like a vague recollection of him. He died at the age of 57, and in my head, I'm like, he's a little kid.
Yeah.
How did a little kid die? But
Yeah.
it's because he was 57. What were your shows?
No shows.
You've never been on a show?
No, nothing.
What's the boy without a job thing?
Memes, funny, humor, relatable humor. That's sort of my shtick and my thing.
And
But really, I'm just a very normal guy. Very normal guy with a podcast.
but I know I'm aware of the account.
I started it like 8 years ago. Early.
Probably early, yeah.
Been a memer for a very long time.
How
But
many
that's
do you try to come up with a day?
It's a great question. At this point, it's just whenever something comes to me.
Right.
Back when I was like treating it like a job, try to come up with at least 2 to 3. And that's honestly when it is less fun. It's a lot more fun to just... We have a segment on the show, which we'll do later, called What Are You Nuts? Which is exactly what memes are, honestly. It's taking little minutia on a day-to-day basis and blowing
Did
it
you
into
do
a bigger
topical ones, or
proportion.
you did like?
Yeah, we do topical ones. We would.
Yeah, it's funny, the social media. It's the liberation of all this shit, where it's like we all have to self motivate.
Yeah.
Like when we were in the elevator, I was like, "Fuck," because I'm just behind on a thing that no one cares about. You know what I mean? Like
For sure.
these like ongoing. I don't envy. I mean, I guess it's better. It's just pick your poison.
No, you got to be on.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you don't want to be on,
Mm-hmm.
I think is what you're saying.
Yeah, we all have these volunteer jobs that are lucrative or relatively lucrative, but there's no downtime.
It's the entertainment gig economy.
Yeah.
Anytime you could be employed if you want to tap into, like you could turn
Yeah,
the
it's like
meter
Uber,
on
yeah.
your creative Uber.
Yeah, that stinks.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Well, but I guess it's better than writing for a show or writing. I'd rather do that than have to write 20 jokes for Corden or Seth tonight.
I was going to say the good news is that there's no boss in that equation. There's nobody
Yeah,
to tell me
that's
if
the
something's
bottom
funny
line.
or not. I decide if something's funny.
But the thing I learned was like, the audience is your boss. You're gonna have a boss.
I was going to say, though, the difference is the traditional validation. So even as you asked, are you on a show? Like, what have you done?
Yeah.
Versus me just saying, oh, I'm a regular guy with almost 2 million followers. It's
Yeah.
like there isn't that thing, right? Like my wife transitioned from being a memer to a comic.
Yeah.
For me, I am an entrepreneur. I own a beverage company, but there isn't like a thing. There isn't a reason I have an audience beyond the fact that the internet is really cool and a large group of people love my humor.
But I also think at a certain
But-
point, and it's probably in the next 18 months, where, I mean, when I think of sitcoms, and I've talked to Bobby and people about this, like, that shit's like doing a corporate at this point, relative to just being Bert Kreischer or Segura or Tim Dillon or one of these guys, where it's like, those guys have a ton of freedom in a way that, like, doing a sitcom, like Santino is way better known for podcasting than he is being third lead on Dave.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
But to the point, my point being that in a year and a half, no one. I assumed you guys knew each other from acting or something. That's why I asked that. I'm not like, are you legitimate?
No, but it's
Should
but it's a
Should
fair
I
question.
think anything of you or
Canned
not?
beverage. Where might I know you from?
But like I'm
He and I lived in Orlando.
Did you do all that in Orlando?
Yeah, man.
Fuck, you were in the
Yeah,
epicenter.
I was fucking right
that
there.
feels like Epstein Island
Saw
type shit.
Jonathan Taylor Thomas in person
God, you're so lucky.
when they were doing
Home Improvement.
No, the Quest. What was the Ocean Quest? Some
Ocean?
Quest show. There was some water
Tales
show.
of the Hidden Temple.
No.
What would you do? Figure it out with Summer Sanders.
No, they did the Aggro Crag. I saw the Aggro
Guts,
Crag.
Guts. That was
Yeah, they
Guts.
did that, but there was also
Lucky.
there was some show, one of them, a real show, like a Sea Quest. or
I
something.
was on Double Dare as
you
a kid.
were?
And I had to do it for charity, which is bullshit. And I was on a show, and it was like, when they'll sometimes take like the 2 shows on the network
Yeah.
and say, you're going to come on our game show. But I was 13.
And you were like, I'm going to make so much money. And they're like, it's for charity. Like, fuck.
Yes. And I was fresh off my bar mitzvah, full of rage, on a steroid cycle, and I got so into the game.
You were on steroid cycle for what?
No,
Weight
no.
loss?
N-
You're
asthma,
making this
asthma.
up? Got it up.
And
Got it.
prednisone, step down pack.
Got it.
And I got so into the game that I started like literally when other people would be messing up on the challenges, I'd be like, "Get your head in the game! This is for keeps."
Do they keep it?
You're
Did you
embarrassing me in front of Mark Summers.
Yeah, I saw Mike O'Malley in person. That was pretty exciting.
He's a sitcom star though. He's diversified.
Yeah, well, he's a sitcom writer now, isn't he? Doesn't he create
And the
sitcoms?
stand-up?
No, I think we're talking about 5 different people.
No, the host of Guts, Mike O'Malley. Bald
yeah,
guy, tall.
I think he created
Midwest.
the LeBron sitcom Survivor's Remorse.
But I think he was on a show with like Diedrich Bader.
I agree.
For many years.
He's done it all.
What? But like I'm on 2 sitcoms right now as like a reoccurring thing I do. How I Met Your Father and iCarly. I don't mean to brag. And
How I Met Your Father did make it?
yeah,
Because I thought it didn't make it.
Oh no,
Well, somebody I know started writing it and then got fired or something.
Dan Levy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah.
So they're doing it now, and
I'm not leaving it a great guy. Fucking hilarious. Wrongly terminated. Something. Give him money.
100%
Yeah.
best dude there is.
Yes.
You know Dan Levy.
Of course.
Best.
Stop talking.
Irish
Just
guy.
say hilarious. Stop
wait.
making.
Irish?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, my
Stop
God.
making. I'm not playing
Ethiopian
this LA thing of great guy. He did move out here to be a great guy. He moved out here to be hilarious.
He wrote How I Met Your Father?
He was a writer on How I Met Your Father, but we're moving on because he's no longer with the show.
It's contractually sticky. It's a sticky, icky,
Interesting.
sticky situation.
He's so funny.
He's
Great guy.
There you go. No.
best guy.
No.
Hilarious.
He's
Just talk
hilarious.
about hilarious. How hilarious he is. Okay, so you're on. I have a hoot. You were on Turner and Hooch.
I was on Turner and Hooch.
I heard. I was listening on the way here. I saw Turner because I'm old enough to have seen the original Turner and Hooch in the theater. And about an hour into the movie, very quiet, and a girl in front of me goes, "Hooch is awesome." That's all. That's the whole story.
In the
It's
late
one of my-
80s?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things I've ever heard in a movie theater. Hooch is awesome. She was right. And I saw The Game with Michael Douglas. This is my second favorite theater shout out. And it was when a movie's bombing, it's like I love that movie, but it was just not, it was like I saw it late at night in Times Square. And some kid stands up and goes, "It's just a game, yo. It's just a game," and walks out. Fantastic.
So good.
Thank you so much. Anyhow, so you're on 2 sitcoms right now.
Well, I just do a recurring thing on these 2 sitcoms, and I got away from that for a long time, and I did 1 hours and half-hour comedies and these things because I was like, sitcoms antiquated. I grew up doing this. It's
Yeah.
a corporate, to your
Yeah.
point, and now I'm doing it, and I find it like wildly refreshing.
I'm sure.
And the whole system.
Ring a doorbell, walk in,
Well-
say something funny.
Yeah, it just kind of works. But you know what else works is that I've done half-hour single camera sitcoms, which basically to the normies out there, a sitcom, you get 3 days of rehearsal. So you're working through the jokes, and then you put it up in front of the writers, and Neal goes, "This joke worked, that didn't. Let's go. All the writers get together. Let's make that joke better." So by the time you're filming on Thursday and Friday, it's gone through 3 or 4 iterations to like, it might not be the greatest, but this is the best version of what you've done that week. On another show, on a single camera comedy, you're showing up, and maybe the only time these words have been said were in the writer's room.
Right.
So you just don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's brilliant and it's 30 Rock.
Right.
But sometimes those words just feel weird in your mouth.
I did some acting recently.
Yeah.
On it was a musical kind of run. It was whatever, the 29-hour Broadway thing where they have like, so it was a musical, and I was like the narrator. I can't say anymore, but it was fascinating to just be an actor and see the writer sulking and see the director and see all the performers and having lines where I was like, this shit doesn't work at all, and trying to muscle it out and wanting to, and you can't say to the writer like, yo man, I'm a writer. I can't be like, yo motherfucker, this shit doesn't work.
Yeah, what's that like? Because you
are
just
have
you're qualified.
you just have to eat it. You have to signal to them. You have to be like, I don't know. You just gotta play it dumb. But I wanted to be like, yeah, man. It's Chappelle. You say to me, if I pitched a sketch, he goes, what the fuck am I gonna do in that?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, good point.
So interesting. I've never thought about that. Whenever I watch like a bad Netflix movie and it's noticeably bad, I can't even imagine how bad the actors feel.
The actors all know. You know, it's like a bad date.
They know.
Where
Well,
you're
it's
just
a
trying
sour
to,
note. You're like,
Yes.
that was the wrong
Like,
note.
I could say it. Let me try it again. And then they're trying to make you say it the right way. And you're like, dude, there's no right way to say this. It was very interesting. But it was fun. It was fun, actually.
Well, can you believe how much... I would imagine that as an actor, and this is now that I do like social media and this stuff like Ben does and his wife, like there's just so much control. And then when I walk on a set and I'm like, don't you need me? Like, can't I just jump in and help? They're like, no, just stand where the tape
You're
is
paint.
and shut up.
You're now paint.
Yes.
We're going to put the paint over here and a little paint. Shut up, paint. You're going here. I didn't mind it except when it was bombing. Then I'd be like, oh. But when you like feel like you put the thing on it that makes it work, it's worth it. But
I want to believe that I am so wildly magnanimous that if I was ever in the position of showrunner and I've got a fucking hot gun like Neal Brennan, that I'm underpaying as only an actor.
You
in my
would
thing,
think.
that I'd be like, Neal, you got anything?
you would think. Didn't
Right?
come up once.
That's hubris. Though.
Nah,
Like, what is that?
It's
myopic.
It's a
Stupid.
playwright. It's a playwright who's like, he wants it a certain way. He heard it a certain way. And it's like, yeah, okay. Cool, I can't do it. Maybe somebody else could. But so I don't begrudge them. It happens all the time. I do commercials and then I'll pitch ideas and I'll be like, okay. Like, you got me.
How is it in the reverse when you're the writer? Do you want to hear someone's
Don't
pitch?
you say a word.
Right.
No, I love when no one ever pitches me any. That's the thing is like, no one really ever pitches me jokes for my act. I pitch everyone jokes. No one pitches me. Like occasionally somebody will pitch me jokes. But I love when people pitch. It's like a little uncomfortable, but like I can't. That's how I got jobs in the first place, was pitching to comedians. So I can't be like, get away from me. I want the help if you got it. Like, please, fucking please help me.
Is that how you came to make what is probably the best special of 2022, your new Netflix special, Blocks?
How did that feel to hear? Did that hurt? As a memer, did that hurt? Well, I didn't even hear the question. I blacked out.
Yeah, you just knew it was getting good.
He pitched a joke, and then I was editing it, and it was like a fork, and one did better than the other. My joke did a little better than his, and so I used my joke, and he's like, anything on Gilmore Girl, whatever it is. And so people want their idea in. People just want their idea. I remember when I was like very young. It doesn't matter how old you are. It's just, everyone wants to take credit at a party or in the car or whatever, where they go, that was, that was. I used to do a joke with Chappelle where it was like, when we were doing Half Baked and they'd pitch, and the joke was like, how about just let us do what we're gonna do, and then we'll pass around a hat at the end, and you guys can pull some out that you can take credit for. And just until then, leave us alone.
I guess in the special you have this great, and I don't want to give away any punchlines, but you talk about being surrounded by some of these like icons of comedy and feeling like you had sort of been delivered, like a version of a finish line for you, and then you were quickly reminded that you weren't in quotes part of the club, perhaps. Right. Like when you start with something like Chappelle Show, and then you do 3 mics and now Blocks, like, is there a version of the finish line there? Is there like a chapter close?
Well, the
for
funny
Neal?
thing, no, there's just like plateaus. I feel like, like now I feel I've never. I'm not going to say I'm secure, but I'm less insecure than I've ever been. But I don't. So now it's more like open path kind of thing. Like, well, what do I want to do?
What's interesting?
Yeah, instead of, and not like I was critics or whatever. It's also a lot of it's arbitrary. So whether what they like 3 mics more than they like blocks. I have no fucking idea why. No idea why. So I'm just gonna ignore it and work with the audience. I mean, again, not like they didn't like it, but critics. But there is no, even like on the Mount Rushmore, people kind of fall off. So it's like someone who's so good at one point, like their sort of talent dissolves or like sort of gets washed away, or they just don't care any so much anymore. So it's always shifting. Yeah. Like what the goalposts. Like if a person is a goalpost, then they will. There are people that I mentioned that are just not as good as they used to. So, I'm less. I don't look up. I don't really look. Not like I don't look up to anybody, but the idea of a hero is less. It's having a hero is cartoonish, like, and they must have just thought of, like, he improvised the whole thing. No, it's like people have a process and they go work it. And
well, yeah, heroes are bullshit. The 27 Club is bullshit because if Jimi Hendrix had lived, he'd probably be a judge on The Voice. Like,
you're absolutely right. Yes,
you're cool if you're Jim Morrison or Janis Joplin or Basquiat because you didn't have time to be corny because you were at the height of your powers and you died.
Yep, that's correct. This is a funny anecdote around that, which is, so I had a joke that if Biggie and Tupac were still alive, they'd both be playing detectives on Law and Order. and then Rock did a joke in his movie Top 5. If Tupac was alive, he'd be in a Tyler Perry movie kicking Jill Scott down a flight of steps. Just funnier. Just beat me. Same idea. And just one of those like, oh yeah, he threw the ball harder. Right. So in terms of just like greats and all that stuff. Like occasionally, or whatever, but sometimes I beat him. The joke in the show where he zings me and then I kind of zing him arguably better than his.
Yeah.
Like whatever. Sometimes I beat him too.
So your special drops at midnight. What's the first big baller call you get? Is it Rock? I imagine a lot of these people had seen it before it aired. But
Rock had come a bunch of times.
Tell me the validation. I want to hear the validation. I want to hear the Neal. You're good
you know
enough.
What? I've been
arrived.
printing. I've been texting. I've been. You know how there's an app where you can get pictures printed from your phone.
Okay. I
screenshot them and now I frame them because I like this. I have a podcast called Blocks. I have a special called Blocks, podcast called Blocks. I have other people on, they talk about their blocks, but Letterman's been on. Sebastian did it today. And Sebastian was talking about how crazy it is, and maybe you have this, people who have giant pictures of themselves in their house.
Wild.
It's wild. A level of insanity.
But normal people have it. You mean like normal?
No, I'm not talking about bankers with a Greyhound.
Yeah, my boy has it with his wife, and they're over the mantle with the family, and I think it's wild.
That's bananas.
It's my friend Len.
Len, quit it. But yeah. So we were talking about, but I've started printing out texts from people. The first nice one on this was Sandler sent me a really nice text before it came out because he'd seen it.
That feels good.
It was great because I really, really like Adam and I've known him a long time, but I don't know him know him. So it's like he was doing
and he was like,
Happy Gilmore.
There, it was
yeah, exactly.
It was a good special there.
He was doing Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison, the producer of that, produced Half Baked. So we were, that was the poster on the wall when we were pitching. So it was for Adam to say something nice was awesome.
Can I ask you, I want to do maybe word association or Rorschach is wrong, but
I love it.
There were some things I've been seeing lately and I was like, I would love to hear Neal and Ben's take on this.
No, you too.
Well, it's you too.
Yeah.
The word pickleball.
I'm not mad at pickleball.
Really?
It is a tragedy of a name.
The worst.
I didn't even think about it. It doesn't make any sense.
So dumb.
So weird for such an explosive sport. By the way, what is with everybody needing to buy a pickleball team?
It's fucking corny. That's
It's people
what it is.
trying to. It's the
Back
same
in
way.
my day, people would buy a soccer team.
Yeah.
3 years ago.
It's the same way that people thought that the WNBA would blow up, so they started to buy teams. I don't know if you remember that, but obviously that didn't happen.
I can't step into this. Do you think I'm going to fall for this? Do you think I'm going to slander the WNBA in any way and say whatever?
Speaking
if
of
you think
safe-
I don't have 5 jokes about the WNBA at all times that I would never do in public.
Speaking of safe spaces, do you want to speak on behalf of your good friend Dave Chappelle and his comments about the Jews?
I sure don't. I saw you guys had a nice episode, and I thought, you know what, we're gonna stay out of that one.
Fair.
That's that's like you look great. Chappelle Show. I haven't worked on Chappelle Show in 17 years.
Right. Same thing with Drake and
People
Josh.
wouldn't know. You'd think I did it. I'm on my way here from there. 17 years. But yeah, people, once they know you for that thing, it's like impossible to
Do people ask you if you do more of it? Like, I get that about Drake and Josh. Like, oh, you're going to do another season?
Yeah, but I don't like that thing you were saying about reboots and people ascribing all of the like fondness for reboots. It really is, they just want to be 15.
Right.
That's it. It's like Lorne Michaels always said, if he can tell how old someone is by what their favorite cast of SNL was, because it's just when they were in high school.
It's like me wanting to go back to camp. Every once in a while, I think of my fond memories at summer camp. I think I want to go back.
How old are you?
30.
Yeah, you just want to be 30.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
you just want to you want to be 15.
You wanna be
I
fi-
want to be 30.
You want to
Go
be
ahead.
15?
Yeah, you want to be 15. When was the last time you went to camp? How old were you?
15, 16.
Yeah. What kind of camp?
Jewish sleepaway camp.
Jewish. I don't know. Yeah. You didn't actually. You know what? You didn't have to say Jewish. I would have assumed if you just said sleepaway camp.
It's it's weird that Jews, we love camps
We
so
love-
much.
Yeah,
I-
you would think you learned your lesson, but no.
100%. We love
Keep
them.
going back.
We
That's
love
how
them.
they got you.
They're
That's how they got
they're
you.
sick.
Camp, you say?
Really?
Yeah. Again, I have some
Nothing.
jokes in that area. Not going to touch them. So pickleball.
Pickleball.
Yeah, I've never played it, and it is a tragedy of a name. And buying the teams, just buy crypto. Did you guys promote it or lose money on it?
No, we're not those
No,
types.
nobody. But if they had asked me to promote it and
Of course
paid
you
me, I
would've.
would have done it in 6 seconds.
Yeah.
I'd still do it.
But we talked about this on the pod. Like, you're Larry David, right?
Yeah.
You got a
Crazy.
billion.
Yeah.
You got a
So
billion.
weird.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they, like if you get offered $5 million for a Super Bowl ad,
Yeah.
that's top tier.
Yeah.
I'm sure FTX gave him 30. Probably. Let's be nuts and guess something ridiculous.
I feel like they didn't give him 30.
20.
Maybe
Why does he get out of bed, Neal?
because it's
Greed.
free money.
It's free money.
And he's not, it's like he's between seasons.
Stop it, really? While he's
it's
at the
free
Riviera
money.
talking to
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg.
It's free money. It's hard to turn down money. It's hard to turn down money.
Especially when it's so short. We didn't talk about this last time. What's he probably recording for? 2 hours?
Well, no, I direct a lot of commercials,
Yeah.
and when it's a celebrity, you get 4 hours.
Right.
So you have to set up. I did an ad with Kevin Hart last year that's like I think supposed to start airing in the next week or something, but we had to set up 13 sets next to each other on a stage. Like we had to build them all. It was so expensive because he only gives you so much time. And it's like, yeah, I'll go to all these sets. You don't want to do a company move, so you have to build all these sets next to each other, and they go, it's still worth it.
Yeah.
It's just worth it. So
be ready.
So if you're Larry, I look, Larry was one of those where I was like, he's the only one I've seen where I've been like, why did he do that? The athletes I understand, but he's richer than all them.
But even like he seems to be like somewhat of a do-gooder, like Matt Damon, and I can
Yeah.
talk about this. He's my castmate. He's out there hawking crypto, and I'm like, you seem like a pretty virtuous guy. Like
Yeah.
you didn't have a pause for a moment to be like, this is the one.
Maybe
Maybe
he-
I'll do an Old Navy ad.
Maybe he believed in it. That's
I
the
think
other
it's,
thing.
It's also possible that all the money went to charity.
It,
All right.
It's
Fair?
pretty easy to believe these Ponzi schemes. Like that's why they're successful.
Well, they say the genius of Ponzi schemes is that they say they're fixing something that clearly seems broken, and it's I gotta get in. They say Madoff for the first 3 times, like you were trying to go like convert to Judaism or going to a Tibetan temple, he turned you away. He's like, Neal, you're a great guy. If I have an opening, maybe, but I got nothing for you right now. You're like, please, Kevin Bacon said you're awesome.
Yeah. Well, but I would argue that the bigger thing with that Ponzi scheme, or any of these Madoff or any of this, it's that there's a phrase, you can't cheat an honest man. Meaning everyone goes 24% a year, and no one goes, what? 24%? That's impossible.
Did I tell you about the time that I went on Jordan Belfort's podcast?
No.
We ever speak about that? His team reached out to me, DM'd me.
Wolf of Wall Street.
Wolf of Wall Street. Fly out to Miami, come on my podcast. I'm like, great, this sounds like God.
You fly or he flies you?
No, me fly. That should have been the first red flag.
Yeah.
I get to his house. He has no clue who I am. I'm on the podcast, but he has literally no idea. He's like, are you here with the guy that I'm interviewing? Like, who are you? Knows nothing. We go through the whole podcast. He's on, I guess he must rent this house, I would assume. And he's talking about how he thought that he had purchased a home that could fit a 60-foot yacht, when in actuality it could only fit a 30-foot yacht. Meanwhile, he has neither yacht. And every single door in the house, you know when you can tell the difference between a sturdy home and a not sturdy home by the weight of the doors? Those like flimsy doors where you go on a bachelor party and the doors, like you could rip the door off even though it looks gorgeous. All the doors incredibly flimsy. Just made me, as you're talking about Ponzi schemes.
Yeah, you just go like, this guy's lying somewhere.
Yeah, and once you're a mass criminal, you're a criminal. Like there's something going on there. He's also constantly promoting crypto this, crypto that. I don't know if
I never thought we needed a new currency. Never occurred to me. Like we need a new currency. We didn't cash.
We didn't even need the dollar.
Well,
what's wrong with gold?
Yeah.
What's wrong with gold?
Right.
By the way, is the U.S. dollar not another Ponzi scheme?
Look, if you want to get in, I mean, bro, you're blowing my mind right now. You know that. I ate too many mushrooms for this.
I'm just saying, the paper dollar is a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, but it's one we all agreed to a long time ago.
Are we
before we were born? Am
I breaking my sobriety if I take ayahuasca?
I don't think you are.
Right.
I don't. I know people. Well, you know people probably that do like microdose now, right?
Me.
In sobriety?
No, but sober people are taking.
Me.
You?
Yeah.
What are you microdosing? Mushrooms?
Yeah.
Regularly?
No, not regularly. Definitely not regularly.
Now?
Once in a while.
I hope you guys break up over this.
Once in a while.
How dare you?
Once in a while you go out on the town, have a little mushrooms. But I do like mushrooms in nature. I was just in Belize. I took some mushrooms on the boat, and it was wonderful.
But you're not like taking them to be better at podcasting or to not feel depression in your day-to-day life.
I've taken mushrooms.
You're not doing them for a reason that would help you.
I've taken mushrooms 12 times in 4 years. So the answer is no.
Right.
Not to make me better. I actually find that it would certainly make me worse. I would be bugging out the entire time doing this. And
well, yeah.
Unless we were all on mushrooms.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
you get used to it.
Well, that's called an addiction. But
I think a lot of people would benefit from it, and you would certainly, like Ron White, the comedian,
it changed
took
him.
it and stopped drinking.
Yeah,
like he had apparently quit like a week before or something, but yeah, it's a bit of a miracle.
But I also know people who quit drinking through hypnosis,
and
the first year was great, and then the second year was okay, and every year following was just a little bit worse. And then they told me that they like to drink with their wife and they're going to have a drink here and there. And now it's fucked.
Yeah. I mean, look, you do the program? You do a 12-step program?
Yeah, I'm 12.
You do all 12, though? You do like 9 of them.
Well, there's only 3 to do on a day-to-day basis.
Good. So, look, I can't argue with anybody's method. I don't know.
Totally.
Like, as much as there are the story you told about hypnosis, there are probably people that and it worked forever.
Well,
you know?
I think it's the main. I had a kid. You could tell me. I had a guy who I was helping in sobriety.
Yep.
And, whatever. He had some suspect behavior leading up to this. But inevitably, he was like, I'm going to go to Peru and do the whole thing and go on an ayahuasca journey. I said, great. I would suggest you reset your date of sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, absolutely not. And I won't be needing you to help me anymore. I said, okay, good luck. And my feeling was, if you really think it's going to help, which is valid, if you truly think it's going to help you in a real way, who cares about your time? Who cares?
Yeah, that's a weird thing to like.
Right.
What do you get?
Which-
you don't get into the like frequent flyer. What you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't get into the.
You don't get a gold star for dying sober. And if you really believe that this thing is going to give you something that maybe you're not getting from the program or whatever, your quest, what does it matter if someone told you that Lexapro was going to save your life, but you had to reset your days? Like, what's there to think about?
Would you have to reset your date?
No. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a different thing. But I mean, if you're willingly going to change your, they sort of say.
Oh, I have a question about this.
Please.
Okay. So he says he doesn't want you to help him.
Mm-hmm.
Are you 100% rooting for him still? Is there a part of you that's not like the human pride part? And you're like, you'll see.
He wanted me to read a script. Say
no more.
There were enough things leading up to it where I was like, oh,
Yeah.
you're fucked. But no, I have guys who I really love, and I feel like they've helped me as much as I've helped them on this journey. And if they were like, because I've had to find outside things to help me. And yet sort of the sobriety and the 12-step thing is the anchor in which everything can be born, right? It's the roots of the tree.
And did you reset your date?
No, but I mean antidepressants.
Got it.
So, and I avoided them for 15 years. And mostly because I was an actor and I was like, oh, I can't do anything to rewire myself. And then I realized, like, well, you're not that good. And I'm like, and you're pretty miserable and your life is awesome. So you got to try something. Ooh, guys, I'm in the running for an asthma ad.
Is that true?
Oh, God, fingers crossed. It's going to be big money.
What is the brand?
I don't know.
What? Oh, it's one of those.
But I remember when I was doing that show with John Stamos' grandfather, he comes into the dressing room and goes, anybody here got diabetes? And I was like, why? He's like, because I hear there's $3 million up for grabs if you got the diabetes. There's a big pharma commercial, probably Neal Brennan's going to direct. And so God willing, I can get a nice asthma thing and pay for my 2 kids.
Or
Adult
diabetes.
asthma.
What?
Adult asthma?
I guess.
Adult Jewish asthma?
Yeah, it's a
I
given.
don't know what that means.
It comes with Judaism. Should we do in closing, our What Are You Nuts moment of the week? I was cleaning up my email. I saw a gift that I had received from 8 years ago from a company called Gift Rocket. My agents had sent me a gift. Doesn't happen a lot. For $150 to any restaurant I wanted to go to. And if I didn't apply to a restaurant, then I could have just gotten the cash. 7 years go by. I'm like, it'd be a shame to this is cold, hard cash. I just email them, hey, I somehow missed this. It went to my spam. Love to just, whatever, send me a prepaid debit card. They go, oh no, this has expired. And because it was cash and not a gift card, in quotes, it doesn't fall under the Card Act, which is what protects like gift cards so they can never expire. So we're just taking their money and you don't get it. So I wrote them a strongly worded response saying, this is a shame. It feels like a weird loophole you're exploiting. And I would love for someone to get back to me so I could rave about my positive experience to my large Instagram following. Was that a threat? Am I nuts? I'm asking me, what am I nuts?
No.
Are they nuts?
Did they pay you?
I've heard nothing back. Gift Rocket, I'm dragging them on the pod. Gift Rocket, what the
I
hell?
threatened one time a rental company in New York that I was renting from, and I got a sizable markdown on a 6-month lease, 5-month lease, and I got like a lot of money back.
Yes.
And by threatening them, it's the only time I've like demonstrably made money from Twitter. So I was like, look, I got a lot of, be a real shame. So it works.
All right, I'm going to
Threatens
write the
work.
tweet.
Let us know if you get paid. What do
Let
you
us
know?
know.
What are you
know
nuts,
what? You need,
Gift
how
Rocket?
bad do you need the money? I'll give you the money.
Gift Rocket, you're
I was
on
thinking
notice.
the same thing though. Like, yes, you're a little bit nuts because recouping $150 from 7 years ago is crazy.
It's
but
a
also,
principle.
But also, what are you nuts gift rocket? You know, you hand out a gift card. I find the gift card. The gift card should be good.
Also, shit name. Ben, go.
Gift rocket's a terrible name. I'm from New York. We didn't talk about this. I'm not from here. I'm just happen to be in LA. I'm on my flight.
Oh yeah, you don't live. Oh yeah, he said you were in town. Yeah.
I don't live here. I'm on the flight. As you know, post-pandemic times, they give you a little bit of Purell. They give you one of those, like in the thing. I take my Purell to my seat. I sit down. The guy next to me, totally masked, like double mask, coughing up a lung, non-stop, coughing. Asks for 2 blankets. The guy is incredibly sick. Does he have COVID? I don't know. Doesn't matter. The flu? It doesn't matter. If you're sick, you're sick. And you don't belong on an airplane. Because what did he do? He gets the ginger ale, takes his mask down, takes a sip of his ginger ale, right? Coughing for 5 hours. That's it. What are you, nuts? What are you, nuts? Don't get on an airplane. It has nothing to do with, it's this whole like, oh, if you have COVID, you shouldn't get on a plane.
Right.
Or if you have COVID, you shouldn't be near me. If you have the fucking flu,
Right, but that's
Be
new.
nowhere
dude.
near me.
That's a new thing. We were all supposed to fight through this shit until COVID.
Yeah, but
my mom used to be like, just smile and go to school and get everybody sick.
that's the thing. Get everybody around you sick.
But that was the policy, and only Japanese people would wear masks when they were sick. Like, that's why they wore masks.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, these fucking weirdos wearing masks.
Yeah.
Traitors.
Being considerate. Ugh. So you're correct, but that guy's probably from a world where even if you're sick, you fight through it. I've never been like that sick, but I've flown sick.
Yeah, for sure. I couldn't believe it. Also, have the decency not to get a middle seat. Is that fine to ask?
He didn't look. You're asking a lot of
he's
things. from
infecting
this
2
guy.
people.
Have the decency
Left
to
and
not
right.
be poor.
Left
Yeah,
and right. By the
have
way,
the decency.
No, he could have
Have the
gotten an aisle
intelligence.
seat.
Yes, thank you.
He could have gotten an aisle seat. What's
When?
wrong with an aisle?
When
he could have booked it earlier.
There's no sick insurance. Also, you wouldn't have gotten any less sick if he was on across
I would have
the
had
aisle.
half the chances of being next to him.
How did you handle it?
I told the flight attendant, I'm like, hi, this guy next to me is unbelievably ill. I don't want to sit next to him. He said, tough luck. There's no other
Literally?
seats on the plane. Yep. He
Tough
said it's
luck.
not. He said it's not my problem. There are no other seats on the plane.
What was the airline? Gift Rocket?
So, Delta. So what did I then do?
Gift Rocket, not a horrible name for an airline, by the way.
It's pretty good. I asked for a mask. That's
All
what I
things
did.
considered.
Good name for a porn star.
You weren't wearing a mask.
Here's my
No.
gift rocket.
You wear a mask on a plane today?
Fuck yes.
Okay, so that's
Fuck
a different
yes.
story.
Yeah,
I don't.
what are you nuts?
Fine.
You're the problem. You outed yourself.
Fine. Fine. Well,
this was you sting operation yourself.
Well, I started
it was
to
a
wear
cell phone.
I started to wear one once I heard his black.
I was
going
to wear a mask on the elevator here. There's no downside to wearing a mask.
N95?
Except for your own.
Yeah.
What about your own breath?
It's wonderful.
He's a
Okay.
vegan.
I love
it
it.
probably
It's
smells
fucking-
great.
It's been fantastic. You guys should come over.
It smells like kelp and
guys get a
ambition.
sec.
I'll sniff your mic after
We'd love
the-
to see you over here. What are you nuts? Yesterday, this is a thing. You probably would ask for a refund. That's not anti-Semitic. It's just based on what I know about Gift Rocket.
Not.
So I go to a restaurant. I'm vegan. I get French toast, and they have one of the things that I get has like a hash brown side, or like on the plate, right?
A lot of
I
carbs.
I know. Yeah, no, somebody's not out of the woods on this food stuff. And so I go, do I get the hash brown? If it is, just make it well done. He's like, yeah, whatever. He's a waiter. He knows. They end up giving me a side of the hash brown. Wasn't part of the French toast. It's a side of hash brown. It cost me $5. And looking back, I'm like, I should have said, take this off the bill. Are you with me?
I'm with you.
Yeah, I don't. That's the best I could come up with for a segment that I didn't understand. Is anyone nuts? Who are we asking is nuts? I'm not. You were nuts. And then he was nuts, but you ended up being nuts.
Ideally, the person who you are describing
When
is the
Neil
one who is
Simon
nuts.
came up with this segment name, what are you, nuts?
I think you having double carbs at breakfast is I think Neal Brennan
I have a
treating
sugar.
himself.
Oh, you want to hear some food stuff? I have a sugar day. Yes, Sunday is my sugar day. I try not to eat sugar all week, and then Sunday yesterday I had salt and straw for dessert.
It's a refeed day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
A refeed.
Refeed.
A refeed, yeah.
Spell it. REFEED.
Yeah.
Refeed, like you refeed yourself.
Yeah, it's like it's in the training community. This idea that if you do a calorie deficit throughout the
cheat
week,
day. Yeah.
yeah, like you're giving yourself all those glycogen stores and all the shit that you haven't gotten for 6 days out of the week.
Okay. Yes, I do that, and it was pretty sweet yesterday.
Wow.
It was pretty great.
I don't like to think of you treating yourself. I don't know why.
I like your style. Because you want me skinny. You want me tortured and skinny.
I want me tortured and
I had a
skinny.
very liberal day yesterday. I had 2 vegan meals, and I went to an art museum.
Wow.
It's just punched me in the face already. driving my Tesla from fucking art museums to vegan restaurants. Kill me. Guys, what an episode.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you for joining
I do
us.
the wrap-ups now. Well, how do we say goodbye?
We already did.
Oh.